Now, many of you know by now, or you at least have seen the news Q1 earnings, which, like I said, they were mixed earnings where there were good stuff and bad stuff, which we have already discussed on the previous video I did before this one. Now, one of the things that I said at the end of that video is that it will be very interesting to see what the big financial institutions or what the big guns are saying about NEO's Q, of course, one earnings, which NEO just officially announced today. And I must say, ladies and gents, there are already some institutions or big financial institutions that have came and gave a comment onto their NEO's Q1 earnings, which the first one, ladies and gents, is Morgan Stanley, who after giving their comments, they indicated that they still, because of these earnings, they still maintain an overweight with a price target of $10 per stock. This is something that is pretty exciting to see, that even though there were bad stuff on the Q1 earnings, like NEO failing to beat analyst expectations in terms of the revenues they generated and the earnings per share, we still got big financial institutions like Morgan Stanley who are still bullish, especially when they look at the outlook that NEO gave for Q2. 54 to 56,000, it is a pretty good outlook, and it looks like the gross margins for Q2 or NEO is expecting to see at least double digits, which is something that those that were saying that gross margins might be compromised due to the discounts, ladies and gents, it might not be that much, because what did we see today? Though NEO delivered the lower deliveries or lower Q1 deliveries than those they saw back in 2023, the gross margins was 3 times better than that which they announced back in 2023, which is something that shows you that things have improved, and we've discussed things that made the gross margins to be better. So even Q2, ladies and gents, gross margins, I don't even doubt that we get, or we will see those gross margins around double digits, so at least 10%, which is something that is pretty exciting. So we've got the second, of course, financial institution that came and of course make comments and also gave their sentiment around the NEO stock after the Q1 earnings, and that is of course Citi. Citi reiterated a buy rating onto NEO with a price target of $10.4. This again shows how confident that these big financial institutions, or some of these big financial institutions, are when they look onto the NEO's earnings and the future, which is something that is pretty exciting. But on the other hand, you will know that there are institutions or big financial institutions like Bank of America, who came and gave their outlook or their guidance outlook of 50,200 for Q2, which based on the outlook that we got today from NEO of 54 to 56,000, it means that NEO's guidance have thrashed that which Bank of America thought it would say, and that is of course the 50,200 which Bank of America had said they would. And if then we are to apply of course the actual guidance that NEO gave today, you will realize that this is actually 5,000 vehicles more that NEO expects to deliver over and above the guidance that of course Bank of America gave, which is something that is pretty exciting. Because if you are to take an average from that guidance that NEO provided, you will realize that NEO is expecting to deliver somewhere between 18 and 20,000 deliveries, of which when you subtract the guidance that of course the Bank of America had, you realize that there's a difference of between 4 and 6,000. And if you are to at least put an average which is 5,000, we can easily see that NEO can deliver plus 5,000 deliveries more than what the Bank of America had projected, which this especially that on that article Bank of America was downgrading the NEO stock price. I think they should come back once again and increase the stock price, because guess what, the guidance that NEO gave, it is much better than that which of course Bank of America had projected. This is, I suppose, it's good news. Yes, like I said, Q1, there are bad things we can say about the Q1, the loss from operations, the revenues, the earnings per share, but there are also positive things that we can talk about, the guidance, the gross margins, and the other stuff that obviously they were pretty good, pretty solid, and I think that was something that of course out of the earnings, there were still some of the things that we can talk about when we look into the good side of those earnings. So yes, man, I hope Bank of America probably comes and maybe issue another statement of what they think about the NEO's Q1 earnings, and if whether they are still maintaining the 46 HKD onto this NEO stock. You'll know that their price target was based on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, so they were dropping it from 50 to 46 HKD, which now it will be very interesting to see what their sentiment is around the NEO stock. But knowing some of these bank financial institutions, they might not come back and issue a statement on what they think, but the good thing is that we know that their projections, or what some of the projections they made about NEO, they were actually undercut NEO in terms of their projections, which is something that is to be noted. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I'm still very bullish onto the NEO stock. I'm still long and strong onto the NEO stock. Or these earnings, ladies and gents, I believe that the worst this year is behind us. And now going forward, I expect to see some pretty good earning, pretty good decent earnings from NEO, because things have changed. Deliveries are much better, and the gross margins are expected to be much better. NEO, ladies and gents, during the live's earning call, another thing that we heard is that they will be starting to sell their cars in the UAE. UAE, you will know that it is a country where, of course, mostly or there's quite a number of rich people, meaning that NEO can do well there, because there are many rich people that can easily afford, of course, the NEO car, which, as NEO said, that by the end of this year they are planning to penetrate the UAE by the end of this year. It is something that, of course, makes me to be really excited, because we are going to have yet another country where NEO will be selling their cars outside of China. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey. And before you buy NEO for the very first time, it is always good that you do your own due diligence, so that at least you can be comfortable as you are investing onto this stock. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey. And God bless you all.